Okay. Yeah, it was really interesting to listen to Tony and hear Tony talk about different challenges and opportunities throughout Westminster. We have gone through a lot of that in Brighton as well. Actually, I had never heard the word or term land banking until I attended a DCI meeting about 3 or 4 months ago. And I think Jerry and Jesse, I don't know if Tony was on that panel, but I know Jerry and Jesse were both on that panel. And I chose to use this word visionary selective because it is strategic and it does have to do with surgical, and what we have done has been project oriented. I think it was Jerry who used the word accidental land banking. Wasn't that your word? And I said, that's not a good title here. So in Brighton, it's visionary selective land banking. But I do remember what you said. You've heard these words already in terms of what is necessary. The real keys to doing land banking, selective development, is having a vision, certainly, having a commitment, and we believe that the private investment will follow public commitment, and nothing will happen without collaboration and partnerships. And you heard that a lot from Tony, for sure. And you'll see several examples of that in a very long list of partners that we have engaged over the last 4 or 5 years. Now, I do have to take a slight exception to Tony's comments because he used the bad word of urban renewal, eminent domain. Those don't have to go together. Actually, everything we're doing that I'm going to be sharing with you in the way of projects is in an urban renewal area, plan area. We do not use eminent domain, and in fact, our urban renewal plan would require, should we do that, it would take city council approval, and there's no political appetite for that, and there are other limitations. So I need to separate those two things. Urban renewal is good, used properly. And we see urban renewal and the Urban Renewal Authority in the city of Brighton as a financial tool, really, to help realize the city's strategic vision and strategic plan. So it's really an important tool within the city. So first off, since everything is in the in an urban renewal area, the initial these colored spaces, and I won't have you chase the red dot like I would our cat, but I'll use this one. This is the core area that was established in about 2001. This is where Vestas is located. That plan area was established in August of 2009. This area is actually annexed to the city. It has been since the 80s. The new Adams County Government Center is right in here on 90 acres. There's 760 acres total here in now an urban renewal plan area that's totally undeveloped except for the government center at this point. So when you think about, while there's not land banking necessarily, the developer and the property owners have certainly done that, looking for future development. We've positioned as a tool, which has to do with vision and timing, also being a key element of this, for assisting with infrastructure and other financial tools in this area. We certainly partnered up here to attract and here with Vestas, and have actually done TIF revenue sharing with Weld County. There's 2 school districts involved, RE8 and 27J, as well as the fire district, too, and been good partners in the community with the TIF revenue sharing in this area. No TIF revenue sharing here. We do share here with Adams County already. They were great partners because some of these parcels were not annexed into the city of Brighton, so they needed to partner with Adams County to include certain parcels at that time when it was formed into the urban renewal plan area. I'm going to talk to this area right here in a moment. This is Bridge Street. When the urban renewal area was being formed, it was the city and assistant city manager at that time realized, or it was known, that where Platte Valley Medical Center was located, it's about 100,000 square foot, 9-acre site, was going to be vacated as they were building a new hospital. So the very first project I'm going to share with you is the partnership and the now creation of what we call the Brighton Learning and Resource Campus. Now, sometimes, I mentioned commitment, vision, timing. Sometimes it just takes a leap of faith, because when this was vacated and going to be vacated, the Urban Renewal Authority has assigned a contract from the city of Brighton, purchased the property under contract at least in February of 2007. At that time, there were no tenants with leases. There was no funding committed or available for that property. However, we did close on it in December. We did have establish a redevelopment partner in December, positioned for some grants, and the actual occupants for this property now are listed here, and you see quite a long list. The one I failed to mention that's actually co-located with the Economic Development Corporation on this property is a workforce center. Now, we also saw in Jesse talking about workforce and community development and economic development, and I've heard, I think Tom used the terms learn, work, play, not learn, work, play, work, play, live, work, play. Sorry, thank you. And that was the whole campaign you did here last year. In Brighton, it's more about, it includes all of that plus learn. It's live, work, learn, play, because learning is a part of economic development. It's a part of community development. It's part of workforce development. It's a part of attraction, if you will. You have to have viable workforce. You have to have resources to train that workforce, and that's really a key part. And as you see, most of the occupants in this facility for the Brighton Learning and Resource Campus are learning resources. Platte Valley Medical Center was a huge partner in this as a community hospital, sold that property to us for $2 million. It's kind of a bargain, and sold the 20,000-foot medical office building for $1 million to Salute Health Clinics. And we totally gutted, these don't show up real well, but we totally gutted, took it down to core and shell. This is virtually the same site as this, and you see some of the partners that eventually came together, and it turns out the Urban Renewal Authority, borrowing money from the city of Brighton, and ended up investing about $470,000. All else came from private or public funds in terms of grants or other organizations. So partnerships, timing. The next is the Brighton Cultural Center. First off, this is a location on Bridge Street, just one block from the core Main Street downtown. I heard the word catalyst. We see this as a strategic catalyst for downtown. It's a gathering place. Worked hard to build destination and gathering places for our downtown, core downtown, which is, in fact, a historic downtown, at least the part on North Main, north of Bridge. And this was formerly a lumber company. That's what it looked like a few months later. We partnered with the Rangeview Library District if they would, when they were committing to build a new library in Brighton, and if they would make this a regional library on this site, we partnered with the Library District and committed to take this historic armory that looked like that when we bought the property, and now is an award winner through DCI as the best building rehab for 2010. And again, timing, vision, partnerships, commitment, private investment, public investment. As a result of that acquisition, somewhat accidental, but it came with the project of purchasing that property. The Urban Renewal Authority actually purchased that property, working with a redevelopment partner, and then sold, or essentially did a land swap with Rangeview, and now the Urban Renewal Authority owns the former library site, which is on about 2 acres, and we're now under contract. You talk about housing and economic development and senior and older folks for the place to live. We're now under contract with the Brighton Housing Authority, who will build 28 senior housing units on that site. The Urban Renewal Authority partnered with Housing Authority about 6 years ago to build phase 1 of 60 units, and this is a kind of a domino effect going on here, so that when this is completed, the Housing Authority will be able to demo dispo a HUD property that happens to have 28 very dilapidated units, but we didn't have the market or available space. And when you do a demo dispo of a HUD property, you need to be able to provide other opportunities in the community. It couldn't happen. So again, here's a partnership opportunity. And once this is done, then phase 2 will build another 62 units adjacent to phase 1 of that property. So these things all do kind of come together. Here's an example of a former city-owned building. It is a city-owned building still. It's a former commerce building. It was the former police station, It's right on South Main across from Wells Fargo. It did, after the police built a new station, housed the economic development events, special events, the chamber, and some other entities. But the situation was that we had because of the Vestas acquisition of the property up north, we had a national corporate headquarters with about 30 employees headquartered there. They had to vacate their space because Vestas had purchased that property. So here, again, in economic development is not only the attraction, but it's the retention. And this was certainly a retention opportunity because this corporate headquarters is primarily all computer-based. They're a flower wholesaler, Kitayama Brothers or Greenleaf Properties, and they were looking at, they actually do a lot of the growing in California. They were looking at places in other states. So a pretty critical situation. So here now comes the opportunity for taking a city-owned building, and whether it's land banking or whatever you want to call it, but taking it as an opportunity and a solution. We, the city, vacated the building, took all these organizations out and moved them to other locations. The Urban Renewal Authority then took a master lease from the city because the city owns the building, so the city or authority took a master lease and then agreed to rent in a short-term basis this site to this particular company, and they agreed and then went adjacent to current City Hall and purchased a property, redeveloped it, and moved into that property. Now what do we do with a vacant building? It's been vacant. It was been vacant for a year. So what's next? Well, this is right in our core downtown, and we've been working really, really hard in downtown. You think about an area. DCI used to have revitalization in their name. They changed that to Downtown Colorado Inc., and it's about redevelopment. So what's next here? And it was an opportunity to create another destination or a gathering place, and this is what's in that building today. It's Main Street Creatives, and it is an art gallery. This is where the police station reception used to be. It's where the Chamber of Commerce used to be. A private company donated the carpet if we would pay for the labor to dress this up. And you see some of the artwork that's in the building. Today, it's Main Street Creatives. It's really an art incubator because we don't charge full rent, even covering the operating costs. They're only a part of it. If they reach certain level of sales, we will ask for a certain commission up to a cap. But the idea is to really provide art as a gathering place, as a destination place. So sold it on the basis of it being an art incubator as opposed to a business incubator. The art gallery now consists of about 15 artists in the gallery you saw in the previous picture. They sell that work. There are other smaller offices. There are 8 working studios where artists work in various studios and various types of art, whether it's sculpting, painting, acrylics. I couldn't, kind of like land banking, I couldn't spell art 2 years ago. I'm too left-brained, and I've gotten really involved in art and culture because of the Armory and some other things. But here again, this is a picture of an open house, a dedication, and shows some of the partnerships. Our city manager, Manuel Escobel, the chair of the Urban Renewal Authority. This lady right here is the artist for the sculpture. This sculpture, in lieu of rent, she was willing to place out front on this pad. And this is a sculpture she has sold to other cities around the country for about $26,000. Very nice piece of art. Very, very well known nationally. This lady, Judy Dickinson, is a very well-known artist. If you recognize the name, she did the portrait, was commissioned to do the portrait for Governor Ritter that now hangs in the Capitol building, and is the only woman artist who's ever done a portrait for any governor that hangs in the Capitol. Local artist. And the rest of these are either local artists or borough commissioners. Other projects. Again, through DCI, 2 years ago, 2009, won the award for the best downtown facade program. This is just an example of one of the facelifts. This is, you can't read it, it's a Western bar. I don't know how many of you have been there. Anyway, it's now a destination place. It's a children's boutique clothing store, and they're doing fabulously downtown. Our issue with our downtown, it really almost died. We don't like to use the word revitalize because it sounds like it is dead. But the downtown vision was really, again, to bring it back to life, if you will, make it a place that people want to be, a gathering place, a destination places, and create an environment that'll be safe and clean. Dana Crawford helped us with a charrette, essentially a facilitator process in 2006. Followed some of those. One of the high recommendations was to do a facade program. The Urban Renewal Authority has invested about $600,000 in grants, ranging from $5,000 or $7,000 to $45,000 in grants to property owners to do the facades, and they're required, according to guidelines, to do everything that is visible from a public right-of-way. In addition to our downtown, other projects, streetscapes, you can see what this looked like. Both of these buildings did participate in the facade program. What you can't see, this used to be just a really dilapidated kind of parking area, but we did come through underground with the city and United Power, utilities, all the overheads that were along here, put in a curb and gutter and sidewalk that didn't exist. Do a paving overlay on Cabbage Avenue. It's what was the worst looking street in downtown. It's now one of the best. And then worked in, because of the right-of-way, turned these spots into pocket parks, and there's 3 of them along Cabbage Avenue now. All part of making it a gathering place. There's a real nice gazebo out here. We didn't have it installed at the time that picture was taken. So the next up, and it has to do with something that Tony mentioned, is sometimes there's property, if we could afford it, we would buy it, because there is property from time to time that is zoned in a certain way but doesn't fit the vision. And we have that issue. If you remember the little circle I showed on the map, it's South Main and Bromley in Brighton, which is only a right-in, right-out off Bromley, which intersects I-85. So it really is a very difficult access to Main Street, South Main, and to our core downtown. We are in the process, because we are working with CDOT to do a design that will realign South Main, make it a full movement, open up the access to South Main. The current zoning is industrial along there for about 6 blocks going north until it reaches the downtown zoning area. That doesn't exactly match our vision for what we'd like to see there, and it could be a problem if we don't get on this project. So again, with partnerships, we will be doing a visioning session on the 9th of September with the planning department, all the planners, the planning director for the city, the Economic Development Corporation. An architect will help facilitate that and do a visioning session, for this particular area that we expect. We being those of us who are kind of involved in the vision side of this, expect to result to rezoning, which the planning department would need to lead. So because we really do want that redevelopment, because we think opening up South Main will be a catalyst and be a stimulus for redevelopment on South Main. Just wrapping up, again, it has to do with strategic, selective, surgical, using Jesse's term. Have to have that vision. Timing is critical. You have to have commitment, that public commitment. The private investment will follow. In Brighton with our Urban Renewal Authority, Urban Renewal has probably invested in the order of 15 to 20 million. The private investment has probably been in the order of 200 million, easy. Vestas would cause that to go way up when we add their personal property into that, creating more than 2,000 jobs just over the last 5 years. Collaboration, partnerships, it doesn't happen. And this last slide, or next to the last slide, lists, in case you missed them, some of the partners that we have participated with the Urban Renewal Authority and other entities to make these various projects happen, but it doesn't happen without the partnerships. And that's really, I think, the biggest key. I think that's been a theme that, as everybody has mentioned so far, a very long list here of partnerships, and it just wouldn't happen without them. Even the Weld County Commissioners, for example, supported us with in order to get a CDBG grant, worked with the Department of Local Affairs and Weld County for the Brighton Learning and Resource Campus, which is in Adams County and in Brighton. $800,000 grant. That was a huge assistance through DOLA, but it was a CDBG and then other money. So the list goes on, lots of details if you like. That's it. I appreciate this opportunity, and we love land banking, whether it's accidental, strategic, or visionary.